A man of African heritage walked into an upscale car dealership where he was met with blatant disrespect by a salesman who had no idea that the visitor was, in fact, the new owner of the business. What followed served as a remarkable lesson in the value of respect and the significance of treating everyone equally. Let's delve into how this compelling story unfolds. In the vibrant streets of downtown Chicago, luxury cars often signified the standing of their drivers. Sleek SUVs, high-end sedans, and extravagant sports cars turned heads at every corner. Among the top-tier dealerships, Platinum Auto Gallery stood out as a symbol of prestige, offering elite vehicles to celebrities, executives, and society's affluent. That particular morning, the showroom was buzzing with its usual energy. Sales associates perfected their sharp appearances, greeting the well-heeled clientele with polished smiles. Yet, none of them foresaw the monumental shift about to take place that day. Anthony Walker, a 38-year-old entrepreneur and founder of a booming tech company, had recently purchased Platinum Auto Gallery. Anthony, an avid car enthusiast, had been eyeing the dealership for some time, not just as a business investment, but as an opportunity to disrupt the judgmental culture often found in luxury establishments. Determined to experience the environment firsthand, Anthony decided to visit the dealership incognito. Dressed casually in jeans, a plain t-shirt, and sneakers, Anthony walked into the lavish showroom, his presence sparking subtle but noticeable reactions. Calmly exploring the immaculate lineup of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Aston Martins, he felt the judgment in the air. Soon, a middle-aged salesman named Peter Hale approached him. Peter, dressed in a pristine suit and projecting an air of superiority, greeted Anthony with a forced politeness that barely concealed his skepticism. "Good day," Peter said, his tone clipped. "What brings you here?" Anthony pointed to a dazzling Lamborghini Aventador. "I'm interested in this one. Can you tell me about it?" Peter's eyes flickered with doubt as he looked Anthony up and down. "This model is highly exclusive," he replied. "It starts at over $700,000. Are you sure it's what you're looking for?" Anthony remained calm despite the obvious insinuation. "Yes," he said firmly. "I'd like to know more about it. And if possible, take it for a test drive." Peter chuckled faintly, his disbelief palpable. "We don't typically offer test drives for vehicles like this unless the customer is shown there. Let's say qualified." Anthony raised an eyebrow, but maintained his composure. "And what exactly does qualified mean in this context?" Peter shrugged, offering a half-hearted smile. "Well, these cars cater to a certain type of clientele. They're not for everyone." Anthony took a deep breath, choosing not to rise to the bait. "I see. Can you find out if this car is available for a test drive?" Peter hesitated before walking away. A few minutes later, Anthony noticed him speaking with another employee, both of them glancing back at him with amusement. Eventually, Peter returned, a smug look on his face. "Unfortunately, that vehicle isn't available for a test drive today," Peter said. "But I can show you something more within reach." Anthony crossed his arms, his voice steady but pointed. "What makes you think this car isn't within my reach?" Peter shrugged again, clearly unwilling to take him seriously. "Just being realistic. These cars attract a certain kind of buyer." At that moment, a young assistant named Sophia Morales, who had been watching the interaction, approached Anthony discreetly. "Excuse me, sir," she said warmly. "Is there anything I can help you with?" Anthony turned to her, his expression softening slightly. "It seems like help here is reserved for certain people," he remarked. Sophia sighed. "I'm really sorry about that," she said. "Peter has a reputation for making snap judgments about people. He thinks he knows who belongs here and who doesn't." Anthony offered a faint smile of gratitude. "And does the manager approve of this kind of behavior?" Sophia hesitated before replying. "The manager tends to let Peter do his own thing, but if you spoke to him directly, he might take action." Anthony nodded, but decided to handle the situation differently. Returning to the Lamborghini, he stood his ground, waiting for Peter to come back. When Peter finally approached again, Anthony looked him in the eye. "I still want to take this car for a test drive. Is it available or not?" Visibly irritated, Peter replied curtly, "I'm not authorizing that. If you're serious about buying a car, I can show you something else." Anthony raised an eyebrow. Are you saying I'm not the kind of person for this car? Peter forced a tight smile. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to save you the trouble. Anthony stared at him evenly before replying. Let me save you some time. I'd like to speak with the manager. Right now? Moments later, the dealership manager, Michael Ross, walked into the showroom. His face showed confusion as he approached Anthony, who stood firm and unflinching. Is there an issue here? Michael asked. There is, Anthony replied, his voice calm but resolute. I'm Anthony Walker, the new owner of Platinum Auto Gallery. I came here today to see how customers are treated, and what I've witnessed is a complete failure on your team's part. An uncomfortable silence blanketed the room. Peter froze, his complexion pale, while Sophia glanced at Anthony with a mix of surprise and admiration. The new owner? Peter stammered, barely able to find his voice. That's right, Anthony confirmed. And now I'd like to address the changes that are going to happen under my leadership. Michael immediately stepped forward, his tone apologetic. Mr. Walker, please accept my sincerest apologies. I had no idea you'd be visiting today. Anthony shook his head. That's irrelevant. It shouldn't matter who I am. What matters is that every customer who walks through these doors deserves to be treated with respect. Turning toward Peter, Anthony continued, his voice unwavering. Clearly, you don't understand that. He paused for a moment, letting the weight of his words settle before proceeding. What I experienced today wasn't just poor customer service. It was a reflection of outdated attitudes that have no place in this dealership. The room stayed eerily silent as Peter stammered. I was just doing my job. It wasn't meant to be personal. Anthony stepped closer, his tone cutting through the tension. Not personal? You took one look at me and made assumptions. Assumptions that I didn't belong, that I wasn't capable of buying that car. You disrespected me. And by doing so, you disrespected anyone who's ever been unfairly judged based on appearances. Peter darted glances around the room, hoping for someone to come to his defense, but his colleague stood motionless, unwilling to intervene. Mr. Walker, I can change, Peter pleaded. This was a misunderstanding. Change is essential, Anthony said firmly. But you've already shown me that you don't represent the values I want to establish here. Please collect your things and leave. Peter hesitated, his face etched with disbelief. But realizing there was no way out, he quietly left the showroom. His departure left the air charged with a newfound sense of respect for Anthony's resolve. Once Peter was gone, Anthony turned to address the rest of the staff. This dealership has a bigger mission now. Starting today, every customer who enters this building will be treated with respect and dignity, no matter their appearance or background. We're not just here to sell cars. We're here to create an experience that values every individual. He looked at Sophia and added, Sophia, your professionalism and empathy today demonstrated exactly the kind of attitude I want for this team. That's why I'm promoting you to floor supervisor. Sophia's eyes widened in shock. Me? A supervisor? Yes, Anthony confirmed with a nod. You showed integrity and respect in the face of adversity, and that's the leadership we need. In the weeks that followed, Platinum Auto Gallery underwent a transformation. The dealership reopened with a renewed team and a commitment to inclusion and respect. Anthony also hosted a community event to celebrate the dealership's new philosophy, welcoming people from all walks of life. In an interview with a local publication, Anthony reflected, true luxury isn't about the price tag. It's about treating people with the dignity they deserve. That's the legacy we're building here. The events of that day stood as a powerful reminder that real change begins with the courage to confront and correct what's wrong.